Hi everyone, how are you? Today is Monday, March 30th, 2020. We are just about to the end of March. Tomorrow is the last day of March. It's also really nice weather here where I'm at in Virginia. It is 71 degrees outside. My family's been trying to enjoy some time outside. We went for a hike yesterday. That was fun. What has your family been up to? What have you been doing? Have you been going outside? Have you been getting some vitamin D? I hope so. So, I have a couple books for you. My first book I'm going to read you was one of my favorite books when I was little. I was a huge fan of Sesame Street, and I know it's not as popular now, but I think you guys still know the characters, and this character was always my favorite, and I hope that you enjoy this book. Maybe you've heard it before. This book is called The Monster at the End of This Book, starring lovable, furry old Grover. And he says, "Hello, everybody." All right, let's see what's inside this book. The monster at the end of this book. This is a very dull page. What is on the next page? What did that say? On the first page, what did that say? Did that say there will be a monster at the end of this book? It did? Oh, I am so scared of monsters. Are you scared of monsters? Well, let's find out what's going on here. Shh! Listen, I have an idea. If you do not turn any pages, we will never get to the end of this book. And that is good because there is a monster at the end of this book. So please do not turn the page. Should I turn the page? I'm going to turn the page. You turn the page! Maybe you do not understand. You see, turning pages will bring us to the end of this book, and there is a monster at the end of this book. But this will stop you from turning pages. See, I am tying the pages together, so you cannot... You turned another page! You do not know what you are doing to me. Now stop turning pages. There, I, Grover, am nailing this page to the next one so that you will not be able to turn the page and we will not get any closer to the monster at the end of this book. It says bonk, bonk, bam, bam, blink, clonk, blonk. All right, all right, all right. Do you know that every time you turn another page, you do not only get us closer to the monster at the end of this book, but you make a terrible mess? He looks exasperated. This will stop you from turning pages. A heavy, thick, solid, strong brick wall. I would just like to see you try to turn this page. Do you know that you are very strong? The next page is the end of this book, and there is a monster at the end of this book. Oh, I am so scared. Please do not turn the page. Please, please, please. Well, look at that. This is the end of the book, and the only one here is me. I, lovable furry old Grover, am the monster at the end of this book. And you were so scared. The end. I told you not to worry. I told you there was nothing to be afraid of. Look, he's thinking. There's a thought bubble. Oh, I am so embarrassed. I hope you liked that story. That was always a favorite of mine when I was little, when I was younger. It's still a favorite of mine. So the next book that I have is about a cute little rabbit, and I like this one because it's kind of like a springtime story, and it's spring right now. And like we talked about last week, hopefully you're noticing lots of changes when you're outside and lots of new maybe animals and birds and flowers, and all of the trees are getting their leaves right now. So this one is about a bunny. It's called the Whispering Rabbit. Look at the cute little bunny. Ooh, can you see what that is right there? What's that? Once there was a sleepy little rabbit who began to yawn. And he yawned and he yawned and yawned. He opened his little rabbit mouth when he yawned till you could see the white front teeth and his little round pink mouth. And he yawned until suddenly a bee flew into his mouth and he swallowed the bee. Oh no, he swallowed the bee. Hoo, hoo, said a big round owl. Always keep your paw in front of your mouth when you yawn, hooted the owl. Rabbits never do that, said the sleepy little rabbit. Silly rabbits, said the owl, and he flew away. The little rabbit wanted to call after the owl. He opened his mouth to speak, but the bumblebee was curled up asleep in his throat, and all the little rabbit could do was whisper. What shall I do? He whispered to a squirrel who wasn't sleepy. Wake him up, said the squirrel. Wake up the bumblebee. How? Whispered the rabbit. All I can do is whisper, and I'm sleepy, and I want to go to sleep, but who can sleep with a bumblebee? Suddenly, a wise old groundhog popped out of the ground. All I can do is whisper, said the little rabbit. All the better, said the groundhog. Come here, little rabbit, he said, and I will whisper to you how to wake up a bumblebee. Look, he's whispering in his ear. You have to make the littlest noise now that you can possibly make, because a bumblebee doesn't bother about big noises. He is a very little bee, and he is only interested in little noises. Like a loud whisper? Asked the rabbit. Too loud, said the groundhog, and he popped back into his hole. How do you think he's going to wake up that bee? A little noise, whispered the rabbit, and he started making little rabbit noises. He made a noise as quiet as the sound of a bird's wing cutting the air, but the bee didn't wake up. So the little rabbit made the sound of snow falling, but the bee didn't wake up. Can you think of some other quiet noises? So the little rabbit made the sound of a bug breathing, and a fly sneezing, and grass rustling, and a firefighter thinking. Still, the bee did not wake up. So the rabbit sat and thought of all the little sounds he could think of. What could they be? A sound as quiet as snow melting, quiet as a flower growing, quiet as an egg resting in its shell, quiet as, and suddenly he knew the littlest noise that he would make, and he made it. Look, he's thinking. It was like a little click made hundreds of miles away by a bumblebee in an apple tree in full bloom on a mountaintop. It was the very small click of a bee swallowing some honey from an apple blossom. That would be a pretty quiet sound. And that bee woke up. He thought he was missing something and flew away. Look at that. Pretty smart rabbit. Do you see the bee went zzz? And then what did the little rabbit do? That sleepy, sleepy little rabbit. He closed his mouth, he closed his eyes, and he closed his ears, and he tucked in his paws and twitched his nose, and he went sound asleep. Remember at the beginning of the story, he had been yawning because he was so tired, and that's when the bee flew in. And there's the bee going to some flowers. The end. So make sure when you are outside, you cover your mouth when you're yawning so no bees fly in and have a little nap in the back of your throat. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you've been enjoying the videos, and I will see you tomorrow. I miss you, and I love you. Bye.